Well, I think increasingly there will be competition in pricing when sites are next door to each other.
Yeah.
But I think there aren't enough sites yet in the ground.
Could you in time respond individually? So if there was one next door which was 65 and you open up here 75, you could say, we're not getting any business. Let's on this side drop to 6. So you think
I think you'd have to. I think you'd have to. Put
and
it
you
simply.
have that
Yeah,
flexibility.
We've got, of course.
You could do that.
On a side-by-side basis, we could change the price. Yeah.
And that would.
And I think we will in the future.
You think you're going to?
Yeah.
Want to support the channel? Get access to behind-the-scenes content. That includes channel meetups. Join as a member today. Details in the description down below.
I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. We're at the Everything Electric exhibition, the XL in London, and we've met Fred. Welcome, Fred.
I see.
And you are. I always had a problem with pronouncing that.
I think this is probably a good time to clear it up.
Do that because I did give you a bit of a ribbing on this, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did. Evyve.
Evyve
is how we pronounce
like in
it.
revive.
Yeah, like revive,
Yeah.
like drive.
Okay.
Evyve.
Is there a reason behind it, or is that just?
It was actually a trademark issue. So
Okay.
so we our previous iteration basically got into legal issues, so we needed to come up with a new name.
Okay.
Realised that every name associated with EV or EV driving or EV
gone.
charging is gone. So we just came up with a name.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
just
well,
invented a name.
I'm not going to rib you anymore on your name. Sorry about that. Right, so you are relatively small.
Yes.
In terms of the overall charging when you look at people like Osprey and GridServe and the like. So can you give me a run through of roughly how big you are, where you're operating and what you do?
So we, small to medium sized network, predominantly focused on DC and ultra rapid charging, so rapid and ultra rapid.
Right.
But we have locations across the whole of the UK, from Dundee to all the way down to Torquay in the south. So we have a relationship with Green King Pubs, which allows us to.
Right, that's where we found you recently.
Exactly, in Limewood Farm
videos.
in Haydock.
Yeah.
Which is one of our first installations, actually.
Oh right.
Yeah. That was one of our first fair few
First
years
with
ago.
Green King.
Yeah, first with Green King.
Yeah.
But that relationship with Green King allows us to expand across the UK. So we've got 160 locations, 350 rapid and ultra rapid chargers.
Right.
A small number of AC chargers, but
so you tend to be more one or two chargers per location rather than big hubs.
Yeah. So we started out doing sort of 2 DC rapid chargers per location, which is the ones that you guys went to 75 kilowatts.
Yeah.
But now we're sort of moving on to focus our efforts on ultra rapid charging.
Okay.
So we've installed probably 6 ultra rapid hubs to date, and we're going to sort of progress to install another 20 to 30 over the next year.
So in terms of growth, where do you see it? Do you see it as the individual charges outside a pub or a restaurant,
so
where you've got a captive audience, or do you see it as a hub where people will aim to go there and get a...
No, it's a really good question, I think, but we see it as a mix.
Yeah.
So, you're catering to both markets, really.
Yeah.
You have those, the smaller sites, more local, but then you also have the motorway adjacent sort of rapid, sort of ultra rapid charging hubs, where we're installing sort of 150 kilowatt chargers plus.
Right, because your pub one's generally around about 75.
75, yeah.
Well, I think I said even on the Haydock one that's actually not a bad size. Because if you're in for a meal and a drink, you're there best part of an hour.
And we like to, there's no wrong charging speeds. There's just sort of wrong locations.
Yeah, it's the right speed in the wrong location.
The right speed in the wrong location, right? So you wouldn't install although many people have AC chargers at supermarkets.
Yeah.
Because no one stays in supermarkets for more than 20, 30, 40 minutes max. And there's not even any point in plug into an AC charger. So it's about the right chargers in the right places.
And I'd also think from a technical point of view, trying to put 2 75 kilowatt chargers electrically is much easier than trying to put a hub where you need a massive big delays.
Grid connection. Yeah. But also they're just a lot more technical, the installs of a hub, because you have to have
Right.
substations. You have to have leases with third parties and the
So
DNO.
going back to the
So I
pub,
suppose
going back to the pub location where you
Yes,
put
tell
in 275s, do you have to do anything at all? Is there ever enough power there waiting for you, or is this always an upgrade?
So all of our sites that you see, they're all independently connected to the grid.
Nothing to do
So
with the
nothing
pub?
to do with the pub.
Right.
We apply for our own power. We
Right.
install the feeder pillar and substation,
Right.
and then you basically have what you see.
And do you find if you apply for 275 kilowatts, you get a faster supply than if you apply for 150 kilowatt charges?
It's also cheaper.
Oh, yes.
The installation, right? So
is that cheaper per unit or cheaper for the site?
So for the grid connection,
yeah,
it's a lot cheaper to get sort of an LV grid connection rather than an HV connection that you would need for a charging hub.
Right. Not only cheaper, it's quicker.
Cheaper, quicker. The electrical infrastructure in terms of the substations and feeder pillars, far more expensive for the larger sites.
Sites. I mean, I'm a Tesla driver, so we go to some of the. We were in Rugby. They got 28 250 kilowatt charges.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit of a supply, isn't it?
It's a big investment. Yeah.
Talk me through your pricing at the moment and your thinking behind it with relation to 75 kilowatts and hubs.
Yeah. Well, so we've sort of levelized charging across both.
Okay, so you're now one tariff.
So 75 per kilowatt hour across.
Okay.
The rapid sites and the ultra rapid sites.
Right.
So people know what they're getting.
75
people know what they're getting when they turn up. We're not yet increasing our pricing on our ultra rapid chargers. Although some networks are at the moment.
We have seen that. Yeah.
So. Yeah, we've equalised our pricing across both users.
This is my simplistic mind, but I get asked this an awful lot.
Yeah.
If you are just putting in a couple of 75 kilowatt chargers, do you get cheaper electricity for that, or the hub from the grid? It's all the same.
So the electricity's, in terms of the unit cost, is the same.
Right.
But what is different is the standing charges and the capacity charges. So. Right. If you have a 1 MVA grid connection for a hub, we're looking at currently for 4 ultra rapid chargers, the standing charge is roughly like £22,000 a year, just to have the capacity.
That's not using it.
That's not using it. That's just having it.
Being allowed to use it.
That's just having it. Yeah.
And is this on top? So you then pay for each unit that you actually use.
Yeah.
I described it in one of my videos as, here's your electricity supply, but if you want continuity of supply, you have to pay us this. Is that the way it works?
So I guess that's probably you're describing the capacity charge.
Right.
So you basically pay for reserving the capacity on the grid.
Right.
And that's slightly different to a standing charge, although it's
but that would be extra on top of the standing charge.
Yeah.
Right, so you've got quite a lot of charges stacking up now, haven't you?
So this is why, although energy prices have slightly come down, standing charges and capacity charges have skyrocketed.
It's like a utility company where your unit costs come down, your standing charge per day has now rocketed.
It's the same thing. We buy the same electricity as you at home.
Right.
Except we, as a business, are not protected by the home energy cap.
No, of course not.
So those that charge at home, they get cheaper electricity, but they're also protected by the energy cap, the price cap. So that's one reason that kind of skews it. I probably would also touch on VAT.
You're 20%.
So we're required to pay 20%, or you're required to pay 20% on energy sold via charge point operators, whereas at home you only pay 5%. So that's another factor that's skewing the
But that's something they're talking about at the moment. But the trouble is,
we're pushing that.
Trouble is, if they ease it for you, other companies are going to go, hang on, they've got 5%, we want 5%.
Yeah, exactly.
British Steel and
exactly.
everyone else.
Exactly.
So, well, we've seen recently a big change. A lot of the CPOs now have put up their prices on ultra rapid. We got GridServe gone up from 79 to 85, and we got Osprey gone up from 79 to 82. I've heard that the charges that you have to pay to the grid or DNO, whoever it is, have gone up, and that's what's causing it.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Have they changed recently?
Yeah. So this is coming up to the new financial year. So the charging mechanism basically changes on a year-on-year basis. So we're now into a period with higher standing charges and higher capacity charges.
So this again is like home with the utility bills,
exactly.
where our unit cost is fairly well capped,
yeah.
but the standing charge is just rocketed.
Exactly.
And you're finding the same.
It's exactly the same.
Only a much bigger scale.
It's exactly the same on the distribution network.
Yeah.
And the local networks is that the standing charges and capacity charges and the distribution charges are all increasing. Even
so
though
you're getting everything going up.
Even though the unit cost of actual power is slightly coming down. So that's why you've seen some players in the market actually increasing their prices, even though everyone's saying that prices are coming down. Well, actually, it's
not to you.
It's not to us, but.
And for the next 6 months, say, is that likely to keep going up and putting pressure on you? Or is that pretty much set for the year now?
So, yeah, that's pretty much set for the year.
Are we heading towards a situation where for you as a company, it would pay you to build a site almost off-grid, put in a solar farm, put in batteries, and control your own power?
Yes. However, you need a lot of things to align to actually be able to do that. So you need the space.
Yeah.
You need a willing landlord
to
unless you purchase the land outright.
Yeah.
So you need a space for the solar. You need a really great location on a trunk road or a motorway junction. To warrant that type of development, and that's the hardest thing for us is getting access to that land.
So financially, is it starting to make sense?
So I think
could you actually do it? Because the advantage would be brilliant, like the supermarkets did with petrol.
Yeah.
You buy it in and you just charge whatever you want. And if you own the PV farm and the batteries, and you are actually off grid, you could set that 10p or a pound. And it's entirely in your control. So you could go for mass volume, like the supermarkets, by dropping the price to a really low level and have queues outside your chargers. Or you can keep the prices high. And that is something that I've been sort of saying it might be on the way.
I suspect that, Winchester's a really good example. The example up in the north with actually a wind farm, a couple of wind turbines next to a charging, an ultra rapid charging hub. But you need a lot of things to align on a site level to actually get those projects away, and they're high upfront capex, so they're expensive upfront to actually.
But that if you can control your own prices and undercut your competitors, that could give you the turnover,
especially on those motorway locations where
we did one down.
Competitiveness.
We filmed one down into Cornwall where there's the Cornwall Services. That's GridServe, and they've got two big wind turbines, and they've got the battery as well. And that one, for quite a long time, they ran it. This is an experimental one. We're monitoring the data, and just recently they've added a huge number of extra charges there. So it seems to be working. So, from a logistics point of view, if you're on a motorway services, is it feasible you could get land nearby for a PV farm, or is that just?
Well, I mean, it's very location specific, right? So, but equally, you have to have that relationship with a motorway service provider, so Apple Green or whatever, Euro Origins or whatever, to allow you to do that. Because for a small company like ours, the motorway services are already in contracts with the GridServes and the Teslas, and
the Electric Highway signed them up in the early days.
Exactly. So
lovely monopoly.
So you'd be looking at those companies to sort of to do those projects, or we'll be looking at new sites on new locations to actually locate those those sites. But in principle, there's nothing financial really stopping it. It's just technically it's you need the right location.
Everything's got to work. But I know I'm a Tesla driver, and over in America, the Tesla are doing that at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're actually the energy producers, the utility companies, a lot.
Well, land's cheaper in America, right? So
is it right?
Yeah.
And also they got more of it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's.
But that one, with the grid-connected batteries, they're actually trading electricity during the day.
Yeah.
As well as running the superchargers is now a bonus.
Yeah.
They actually set these up with big PV and batteries, and it's a business in its own right. And we got a bit spare for the chargers.
Yeah. Well, that's what you'd be looking at. Those grid services on the battery side as well. Are you looking into batteries at the moment? We're not at the moment, but we the Evyve basically came from renewable development, so wind, solar, battery, that kind of thing. So we have experience in that industry, but we are focused on predominantly building out this network.
Right. So you've got expansion plans for this year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're hoping to double the size of the network in the next year. So we've got roughly six hubs open at the moment, but we're looking to more than double that actually in the next year. So move away, not move away from the sort of the 75 kilowatt setup, but focus more on the hubs.
Yeah, they'll always be
in addition to the more the local. Yeah.
Are you able to offer anything in the way of app discounts or membership discounts or special offers?
So we don't offer an app discount currently or a loyalty scheme. We're actually working on that at the moment, implementing that via our app, but it's not quite there yet.
Is that imminent this year? Or?
It's probably not imminent this year.
But you're aware of it.
There's quite a few hurdles that we need to cross to get to that point.
I know GridServe, I interviewed with them about 2 years ago, and they said they're going to do an app and a membership.
Yeah. There are a lot of technical difficulties around that. But to be honest, we are just focused on delivering a reliable service at a decent price point. Yeah. Which, reliability is king, right? So if you can offer that service at a decent price, people will come back.
You need the reputation.
You need the reputation.
Long time to build a reputation. It's quite easy to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
So the Electroverse, I used one recently. I've got an Electroverse card. Used it at Instavolt. And Electroverse give you the opportunity of having that charged to your home Octopus account.
Yeah.
That applies to you as well.
Yeah.
So you don't pay there and then at the charger.
Yeah.
I assume at some point Octopus come to you and say, hang on, someone used your charger,
so we
owe you.
We have agreements with these roaming platforms.
Right.
And we basically, So we they reimburse us for the electricity
so
used.
So they collect the money from through the Electroverse card through the Octopus account.
Yeah.
And then they send you what you've agreed as your share of having the charger and running it.
Yeah. So there's this big interconnected web. Now of reconciliation essentially around funds.
Right.
Where roaming providers are passing money from the money that they've collected.
Flying everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It knows what it's doing, but it always ends up in the right place.
Exactly. And but that's really benefited us, to open our network up and have our chargers hosted on as many platforms as possible.
So is that a financial benefit to you? Do you actually have to sponsor the Octopus in a way to let you use the Electroverse card, or is it just a benefit for both of you?
It's mutually beneficial, basically. Yeah.
Right, so no one loses out on that.
No one loses out.
Yeah, because I know I get discount if I use the Electroverse card on the charger.
Yeah.
So that's negotiated with you between you and Octopus.
Yeah.
Complex business, isn't it?
It's a complex business, and actually, we are a little bit behind in that sense compared to mainland Europe. I mean, a lot of mainland Europe is app based.
Right.
Not a lot of chargers have contactless credit card readers. They're starting to now, but that's why this roaming sort of platform. Basically,
it's sort of one app any charger.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone in Europe expects to use their preferred roaming app.
Yeah.
To be able to charge at everyone's chargers, and why shouldn't they?
Well, this is it. So, as you say, it's an interconnected world. One app or one card should be able to do. I'll use that charger today, that one tomorrow,
Yeah.
and the only difference is the price. So you've got total freedom. So, and is that where you're heading technology-wise?
So obviously we're mandated by the government now to put in credit card readers on every charger. So
is that a hindrance to you? Was the European app-based system a better solution, and we're being forced into contactless, or is contactless?
Yes. To put it, yeah, because you have one point of failure. So with contactless, there are now 2 points of failure, right? So you have this connection between the credit card reader, between the merchant bank, the acquiring bank, and your back office.
Yeah.
Whereas with an RFID card, it just went straight to your back office, and those
which is Electroverse RFID.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in other words, it's simpler. Is this a case of the government backed the wrong horse with contactless?
No, I don't think so, because I think it's opening it up, right, to as many people as possible.
Yeah, everyone's got a contactless card.
Some people like an app, some people hate an app. Some people charge once a year and don't need an app, and so they have contactless. It's.
I think also there's not one app. If there was one app which was overwhelmingly powerful and everybody had it on their phone and could use any charger in the UK, apps might come back into fashion. But at the moment, the only thing that is guaranteed is a contactless. And so they default to, I'm safe with this.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think offering both is good. I think more and more people will start to use contactless.
And Electroverse is one that seems, we did an interview with them earlier on.
Oh, good, yeah.
And they seem to be sort of one-stop shop for everything charging, not the charge themselves. But they are very much working with other people, like you, who are trying to make it easier for the EV motorists to not have to have 16 apps.
No.
I've got about 20, but I'd have to go out and film them all. But for the average user, it's frustrating the extreme to get to a charger and go, no, I haven't got that one.
It is. And that's why we're... I think it is a good thing in general that we do.
Do you think Electroverse is actually going to take over that side of it? So it's either contactless or Electroverse RFID?
No, I think no. Basically.
No, okay.
I think there's just going to be a number of players, and there'll be competition there always, and you'll be able to choose which one you use eventually. But they've certainly got a good start and a really good solid user base already. Well, I think increasingly there will be competition in pricing. When sites are next door to each other. But I think there aren't enough sites yet in the ground.
Could you in time respond individually? So if there was one next door which was 65 and you open up here 75, you could say, we're not getting any business. Let's on this side drop to 6. So you think?
I think you'd have to. But
and you have that flexibility.
We've got, of course.
You could do that.
On a side-by-side basis, we could change the price.
And that would.
And I think we will in the future.
You think you're going to? So no imminent plans.
No, not in the near term.
We've been filming recently at Sainsbury's. And the supermarkets are now starting to see that EV charging might be a revenue source for them. And we know what happened with the price of petrol when they got involved. It used to be Shell, BPS, so high prices, and the supermarkets came in discounted. Have you looked at what the supermarkets might be doing and how that could impact your prices? Sainsbury's, for example, 72p now. They've just come in and undercut.
They've come in and undercut, and we've taken note of that, and we.
So you are aware of this?
We have a couple of sites nearby, a couple of Sainsbury's sites. So we're well aware.
I know you got one just around the corner from me, outside the Leyland Gates. That's one I film there quite often. So that's there. But you do actually monitor what's going around. And unlike someone like GridServe, who, here's your price. You could say, well, that one's being underutilized on that particular location. We're going to have to.
We haven't done that yet, but in the future we will, I'm sure.
And that could happen somewhere like the Sainsbury's, where that one there's a direct competition. Oh, by the way, if you use Electroverse, it comes back to 68. So you got competition. But it's really good to hear you're actually monitoring these things.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same as a shop, coffee shops or any.
If you're a pound dearer than your next door neighbour,
people are wary of these things, and they will respond accordingly. So, we have to have that in mind as well.
But
there aren't quite enough sites out there yet that have these unique locations adjacent to one another. Not least
we're waiting for the supermarkets.
Not least because we don't want to bloody install next door to someone else already.
Yeah.
But it is happening. We've actually just recently opened a hub up in Chelmsford.
Okay.
Just on the motorway junction there, and there is indeed a Sainsbury's very close by.
Right.
So we're just monitoring that to see how it goes. But do the sites that we were going to invest in, that were just on the edge of viability now, do they fall out of that viability sort of bracket, investment bracket? Oh, we'll just push those down the line. That's bad for you as the driver. That's bad for the transition to net zero. That's what uncertainty does. That's what watering down mandates does, is push investment decisions that were based on hard.
It was going to be here then, and now we don't know
targets have now been pushed, or could potentially be pushed down the line. We don't want to get there. I mean, it's
you don't want to open a Football Bay hub and nobody use it.
Basically, you look like an idiot, right? And you don't just look like an idiot. Your investors, they look at these investments and they say, well, why did you do that?
Yeah, why did we give you the money?
Yeah, exactly. So that's where we are.
Right, Fred, I've taken up so much of your time. This has been absolutely great, because it's great to get an insight from someone who knows what they're talking about. I get so many viewers with their own comments, and talking to you, that a lot of them no idea what they're talking about. So it's great to see. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for your information. We are working with Arnie on the Uncharge. I've done a couple of tours already and done some photographs for you. So it's great to hear the way they're being used.
Yeah, I mean, they're really good for us. And
so thanks very much. That's it. We're going to have to call it a day there. I'm Dave, and this is, where are we? Everything electric at the Excel.